Natives to the far eastern continent of Othard, children of the Dusk Mother and Dawn Father, found on plains, in the mountains, and even beneath the sea. The Au Ra are scarce, even in their homelands. It was only with the Garlean unrest in Othard that they began to be seen in any numbers in Eorzean. With their horned and scaled appearance, they can be mistaken for dragonkin, and though they share no lineage, their frames strike a similarly imposing silhouette. Au Ra can be visually differentiated by the color of their horn. Those of the Rain are of lighter colors, while those of the Zela are darker, boasting correspondingly colored scaled skin and tails. Their horns act as sensory amplifiers, giving them an advantage with hearing and spatial awareness. While the males of the race are usually tall in stature, the Au Ra are unique amongst the races in their extreme height disparity between male and female. In respect to attire, Au Ra who have acclimated to a more Hurrian setting can be found in more common clothes. However, one of the great distinguishing features of Auri garb is a motif of scales inspired by the race's own hardened hides. The two known major clans of the Au Ra are the Rain and the Zela. The Rain fled the Azim steppe long ago and have made their home in the eastern lands of Othard, primarily in locations such as Doma in Yansha, Suinosato in the Ruby Sea, and Hingashi. The Zela, however, are primarily found in the Azim steppe, clinging to a pastoral and combative way of living. With their dark horn and ebony scales, the Zela live a highly traditional and nomadic life. Once a unified group, now the Zela are splintered into 51 known tribes, though the number is susceptible to change as clans are created, absorbed, or destroyed. There is even word that there may be unknown groups beyond the reaches of the steppe. Of the tribes, a few maintain the greatest strength, be it in bodies or in prowess. Among these tribes are those of the Sunblessed Oronir and the Undying Dothral. Those smaller tribes can often carry great weight, be that in the silently enigmatic Kaestir or the peaceful Mole. Prizing strength above all else, the tradition of the Zela and the steppe is to hold an Adam, an annual festival of combat as a means to establish the new ruling tribe of the steppe. This contest helps to ease tensions between the fiery tribes of the Zela. Between their hostile bouts, the Zela of different tribes will raise beasts such as horse and sheep for their meat, hide, and milk. Their primary contact with the outside world is through the trading post of Reunion, which acts as a neutral ground for the tribes to trade and interact. In regards to the Rain, sporting light-colored horns and scales, and believing themselves the children of the Dawn Father, the Rain, though descended from those of the Zela tribes, fled the Azim steppe during a time of great war and bloodshed. There are those of the Rain who have assimilated themselves into the cultures of Doma and Hingashi, and so are primarily found in those locations under the service of lords. However, there were those long ago who wished to avoid any further form of conflict, and so created an undersea home for themselves. Au Ra are sparse in population, even in Othard. In Hingashi and Doma, they make up little more than 1/10 of each respective population. Though the Zela may be near the sole proprietors of the steppe, they too are not vast in number. The history of the Au Ra is somewhat shrouded in myth. According to the stories of Au Ra creation, the world was formed by the Dawn Father Azim and the Dusk Mother Nahama. Together, these two would often quarrel over who should rule the new world they had made, and in doing so, created mortals to serve as proxy warriors in order to settle their fight. A male made for the honor of Azim, and a female for the glory of Nahama. These first beings, the Au Ra, a Rain of the Dawn Father, and a Zela of the Dusk Mother, fought bitterly, but eventually put aside their fight and came to love one another, creating new generations of Au Ra. In doing so, Azim and Nahama found peace and returned to the heavens, leaving the world in the hands of their children. Or so one version of the tale goes. How much of Au Ra myth is based in historical fact isn't widely known, but bits and traces may be rooted in real events, even if only partially. We do know, however, that for many generations, the Au Ra lived in the Azim steppe. At some point, those of the Rain fled conflict on the steppe in order to find a safe haven. One group stayed in the outlying eastern lands of Yansha, and though at first hated by the inhabitants there, they would slowly gain their trust over many years of effort and service, winning the trust of a great warlord who would take them on as vassals. Some Rain would even venture further east, to the lands of Hingashi, and become legendary warriors of renown. The other splinter group would go on to befriend the Kojin, and using Kojin magics, created Sui no Sato and the Ruby Palace. Still to this day, isolating themselves from conflict and the world, in a prison and sanctuary of their own make. Au Ra have an ancient tongue, still spoken by the Zayla of the Azim Steppe, though they are able to speak in the common tongues of Othard, facilitating easy communication with the few who venture into the steppe. The Rain, however, have fully taken on the common tongue of Doma and Hingashi, which differs from that of Eorzea. When it comes to names, those of the Zayla tribe are relatively traditional, with a customary given name and their tribe as a surname. What is unique about the Zayla names, however, is that since there was no written language for many generations, Zayla names may be the same when spoken, but spelled differently. This is true for locations as well, and can be seen with locations such as Dothral Ka and Azim Ka. In this case, Ka simply meaning spring. A downside of this is a large amount of confusion from outsiders and misunderstandings about the proper pronunciation of native Zayla words. With those of the Rain, the given names are gendered and based on traditional Domin and Hingan words, with male names inspired by strong natural forces, such as seas, mountains, and storms, whereas female names are based on natural, elegant things, such as plants, seasons, and animals. In regards to surnames, those of the land-dwelling Rain and those beneath the waves differ slightly. Those of Yansha and Hingashi typically take their surnames from military ranks, symbols of power, or weapons. These symbols of martial prowess tie back into the way the Rain earned their place in the current hierarchies for their adoptive homes. Since these are typically tied to positions of power, however, it is common to find those of lower social rungs hosting surnames related to the Othardian word for their profession or birthplace. Those of Sui no Sato merely have their name end in Sui, meaning water or tide, save for their Ruby Princess, whose surname is Shisui, meaning violet tide. A passion for their homes, no matter where they are found. The strength and loyalty of the Au Ra is staggering, and has let a small group leave an indelible impression on the world. Both in their capacity for compassion and fighting spirit, it is with ease that it can be said that they have made the dusk and the dawn proud.
This content was brought to you by the Eorzean Archives. I'm Archon Charette Tia.
And I'm Archon Elio Faucheron. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and comment down below any topics you might also be interested in.